What's going on, everybody? It's yours truly, Coach Mike Dub, here with another edition of the Lockdown Defense Sports Studio. And of course, we're keeping things moving along this off season, talking about all things NFL, getting you guys ready for training camp, getting ready for the start of the season, which is about to kick off in just a few months. The off season is quickly moving along. We've had our draft, we've had the schedule release, we've had free agency. And it just keeps getting closer and closer to training camp. We're looking forward to it. So I'm glad you tuned in. Glad to have you guys here as guests as we have more great content for you all. And what we're talking about today is the NFC teams that may be on the lookout to miss the playoffs. NFC teams that were, pretty good last year, had a good run last year, but may be on the bubble this year. May not be, really posed to do the same thing this year or posed put in a position to where they could repeat. So we're going to talk about that because always you talk about the teams that are going to rise and the teams that are going to make the playoffs. But in order for new teams to make the playoffs, that means there's got to be a team that misses them. So I have two teams specifically that I'm going to be on the lookout for to take a step back. And there may be some surprises in there. So let us know in the comments if you agree, if you disagree, if you have these same teams on your radar as well. And we'll see where we land when the season kicks off. So, first and foremost, I do think that there are two NFC teams at the minimum, two NFC teams that made the playoffs last year, that made some noise last year, that I think are going to take a step back. The first one may be a huge surprise. I'm just going to say that coming out. But the first team that I have that may be missing the playoffs this year or just may take a step back that was a huge contender last year is none other than that's right. The Detroit Lions. Now I know what you're saying here to right now is, why the Lions? Everybody loves the Lions. It's the NFL feel good story. Who doesn't love Dan Campbell? Who doesn't love the underdog story? It's hard not to root for this team. Yeah, I get it. But here's a few reasons why I would be on the lookout for this team to take a step back. Number one, first and foremost, they had an amazing season last year. Of course, put together all types of different, great performances on the offensive side of the ball, great performances on the defensive side of the ball. They've been a team that everybody was rooting for because the Lions have been terrible for I don't know how long, and it was good to finally see things shaking up. And I mean, they just have a likable team, understandable. I think they're going to take a step back for multiple reasons. Number one, they won a lot of games last year. It's hard to repeat that every year, right? An emotionally draining loss to, of course, the Commanders in the playoffs. They battled a lot of injuries, went through a lot of things down the stretch of the season, and it was a disappointing loss. So it's always interesting to see how teams rebound the next season after that. So once again, of course, this being a young team, the Detroit Lions, they're not used to being there before. How are they going to be emotionally? Are they drained? How are they going to be able to come back and repeat what they did next year with a little bit of a tougher schedule? You're now going to get teams best shot. You're not going to creep up on people and surprise people anymore. So to make that jump from last to first and then to repeat that now again with a culture and a team that's young and really never done it before, it's going to be interesting to see how they can do that and how Dan Campbell rallies his guys to that. Of course, we know they're replacing both of their coordinators, which I think is going to be the biggest issue. I think it's going to take a little while, specifically with their offense, to get that continuity going and to get that rhythm going. The new offensive coordinator is used to a team that, and a quarterback. He was the Denver Broncos passing game coordinator, I believe. He's used to a quarterback that had different, features and different playing style than Jared Goff. So how will they adjust? How will they mix that up? It's going to be interesting to see. And then, of course, every team plays well when they're under certain circumstances. The Detroit Lions played well being the underdog. The Detroit Lions played well when nobody expected them to play that well. Now, how are they going to play as the favorite? That's going to be interesting. And like I said, because they're a young team, it's going to be, I think, a little bit of a learning curve, specifically in the beginning of the season. I think that they may stumble out of the blocks. They play a few tough teams early on as well. They might be able to shape things up towards the end. Am I saying that they're going to be a 3-win team or 5 and 6 win team? No, not absolutely not. But I do believe that they may be, possibly a 10-win team, maybe somewhere on that bubble or the wild card. And the reason why I would say that they may be on the bubble or perhaps missing the playoffs is because also in their division you have the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. Not to mention the Chicago Bears, or nothing to be scoffed at, but specifically the Packers and specifically the Vikings. I think both of those teams have gotten better in the offseason. I think they made significant moves to really be able to compete with the Lions. So, once again, how are you going to play when you're the favorite? The Lions being the cream of the crop of the NFC North last year. They had a battle with the Vikings, and the Packers playing well every year. I think those two teams, specifically the Vikings, is especially, but the Packers as well. I think both of those teams got a lot better, and from top to bottom, I actually think that both of those teams have a better roster. So, for those reasons, obviously, third team, three teams made the playoffs last year from the NFC North. Three teams possibly could make the playoffs again this year from the NFC North. It could happen, but I think the Lions, if anybody, may be that team left out, maybe that odd man out. And like I said, it's not because I think that they're going to have a terrible year or they're going to be, a bad football team. I just think that they're going to take a step back. The new coordinators, a new kind of image for the team or a new standard for the team and new expectations for the city. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And then, of course, you got Aiden Hutchinson coming off that injury. I hope he comes back strong. But overall, I think that we look to see them take a step back. Don't expect to see them be another 14-win team or, even win the division this year. So that's my prediction. Like I said, let me know in the comments if you agree. I'm going to be interested to see how they rebound this year. And the second team that I will be on the lookout for is another team that really shook things up last year, kind of in a quiet way, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the reason why I say that is for a few reasons. The biggest reason actually is not because of anything that the Buccaneers didn't do or did do in the offseason, but rather what's going on around them. I don't think that they make the playoffs simply because I think the only team that makes the playoffs out of this division is going to be the division winner. And there are two teams that I have my eye on as a division winner. Number one is Atlanta. I love the direction that they're going. I think they got a lot better in the offseason. They were playing tough football last year. They couldn't really put things together in order to win the division, but they were right there towards the end of the season. I think Atlanta takes that step to win the NFC South. And then you got Carolina, of course, who was playing really well down the stretch as well. So I think both of those teams are going to give the Bucs a run for their money. Overall, I think that's going to make it a struggle for the Bucs to make the playoffs. Once again, do I think that they'll take a steep drop, and do I think that they'll be a bad team or a team that's going to be, one of the worst in the NFL? Absolutely not. As long as they stay healthy, I think that they're still going to be a pretty good football team. They're going to have a respectable defense. They're another team that has a new offensive coordinator. So once again, anytime you get a new offensive coordinator, and especially when you have one with a quarterback that's not quite elite, yes, I know Baker can play, but anytime you have that change, it's going to be interesting to see how the guys are able to adjust to that change. They did some work on their offensive line in the offseason, also got another weapon at wide receiver. So it's going to be interesting. But I think their bread and butter is definitely that run game. If they don't have a run game, then it's going to be very hard for them to throw the ball, very hard for them to open it up with the pass. So, the offensive coordinator is going to have some work to do. New offensive coordinator, old offensive coordinator is now the head coach for the Jaguars. How are they going to be able to pick those things up defensively? Not really worried too much. Todd Bowles is able to put things together, but they still did have some holes to fix in the defensive secondary. So hopefully they, come out strong in that aspect. But overall, I think that they're going to be in a position where if they don't win the division, they're not going to make the playoffs. And I actually have two teams on the lookout to win the NFC South outside of them. So for that reason, I think the Bucs may be another team that perhaps may be on the bubble to perhaps miss the playoffs. So those are my two teams to watch that may be taking a step back. And once again, I just want to say I don't think that neither one of these teams will be bad football teams. I don't think either one of them will, be teams that you want to go out and say, oh, they had a horrible year. But compared to what they did last year, I think they may have taken a step back just because their division and the opponents that they face have also taken steps to get a little bit stronger, and they're coming for their necks. So we'll see if I'm right. We'll see if I'm wrong. Only time will tell. But I'm going to be on the lookout. We're also going to do an AFC version of this video. Check it out. Let us know what you think, and see you guys soon.